I'm Eric Haugen. Check the description box below for tabs and backing tracks on my website, information about exactly what sound tools I'm using today, and all the very important links that keep me in business. Here we go. Okay, we're going to drop in there with, it's basically just that opening is just a turnaround. It's going to be a D chord, dropping back to a C chord, dropping back to a G chord, or, open G. And then, so we're going to visualize this 777 off of that D chord, and then you're going to do the little Keith Richards thing there. That's going to be on a 9, that's going to be on an 8, so that's kind of like implying a G chord against it, but let's not worry about it. Then you just back up, because there's the C chord, and then you just drop off, and then you actually do that cool Keith Richards thing here, because there is 201, which is really implying a C chord back to that G. That's the first part. The form of this song is really cool. It's basically a 12-bar blues, but if you took the first line 4 bars of the 12-bar blues and repeated that. And so what Mr. Mike Bloomfield is doing is maybe one of the most tasteful uses of the sixth device outside of like Steve Cropper's Soul Man. It actually starts the same. That's the same as Soul Man. So what you're doing there is you're grabbing 7 on the G, 7 on the high E, and just so you know, I'm visualizing that version of a G chord. That's a caged D-shaped G. You could say it's that, but hey, there's the root. Anyway. And the way the brain works of a session guitar player, or at least mine does, I'm not thinking about the individual notes as much. I'm just looking for, boy golly, where's a C chord? Well, there's that one, but that won't work. Oh, here's a C chord. So that's what he's doing there. He's got this 7/7. Such a great part, and that is 9 and 8. But again, to me, it's really just looking at that. And sure, you take a little visit forward to this 11. We're going to talk more about this later on, why this all works. 11 and 10, which is kind of implying a D. So that first lick, and first I'll just pick it regular style. Now let's rotate around. If I want to hybrid pick it, look over here. Okay, what you got? Here we go. If you don't hybrid pick it, you have to mute that note in the middle. That works too. It's just different sounds. There is no right or wrong with music. It's just different sounds. And then he's going to drop from this pitch, what's that? That's a D down to the B, but still it's like, we'll talk about this later. It's really just visualizing structures, because there's a G. Right, and that's all that happens there. Yeah, and then it goes, that doesn't come till later. Okay, then it comes back around again. And then that time, I didn't go to the extra one. Well, because Mr. Bloomfield is changing his part throughout the whole song, and like that, his playful part combined with the really playful piano part kind of interlocking and bouncing around off each other. It's a really great lesson for anybody who's in a band where there's a piano player and a guitar player, and you have to figure out how to not step on each other's toes too much. They're doing a great job on that track. Okay, what is that? Goes up. And then this is so cool to get to, the 4 chord now, the C. He's going to drop in with 6 is based off of this. Off of this C chord here. And again, the thing with 6s is we're going to review how they work later on. It's the top note is actually the important note. So he's actually dropping in here with a 3 on the D and a 3 on the B string, which is super cool because this note right here, for a second, that's turning that G chord into a G7. Super cool thing to do. That is out of key, but again, it's like in a bluesy kind of way, so it's kosher. And then this is so cool. On the way back, though, it's an F sharp. Stuff like that. I mean, I love stuff like that. I think that like just these subtle little things hiding way buried in the layers of a song. Okay, you went up to the 5 and 5, but watch. 4 and 3. That's so cool. And then there's, I don't think it's the same guitar track, but there's a guitar track on it that does a major pentatonic little fill right there. 2 slides up to 4, which I mean, if you don't know that fill, there you go. That's a standard. That's, you know, Pink Floyd. Every guitar player should know that. That's just a great thing to know. And then we finally are getting around to the 5. That's going to drop back. Actually, no, it just stays on it. The 4 chords only implied, and then back to the 1. I love these progressions that are like basically simple, but again, because of that slight repeat of that first part, it makes it just not as annoyingly familiar. It's a little longer. It's just the slightest, it's a subtle kind of twist. And, you know, it's different every time, but let's see. So again, you're citing this D chord up here. That's 11 and 10. And again, the D is this note. This is actually the harmony note. Slide and hybrid picked. Well, hybrid picked here. Let's see. 5 and 5 to 7 and 7. Okay, now let's talk about technical considerations for working on sixths. Always, they're basically 2 shapes. It's going to be, say we're basing it off of this chord here, which I do think is the best way to start if you haven't worked on these. I do have another video about sixths called How Sixth Fills Work. They're a very useful guitar device. So if you see this one, you get that 4th fret and that 3rd fret, and actually, so that the G is up there, the harmony note is the B down here, and yes, it is 6 notes away from this note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why they're called a sixth, not to be confused with a 6th chord, which has a 6th in it also, but that's a little bit of a different thing. And that's not your fault for being frustrated about that. That's music nomenclature being a little bit unclear as to what it expects from us. It does that, by the way, sometimes. Chord names, woo, chord names ain't right. Why does a minor 6 chord have a major 6 interval inside of it? Ugh. Why is there no name for a dominant 7? Eric has thoughts on these things. Anyway, always keep the middle finger, our favorite finger, on the inside when doing 6th pairings, so that when you go up to this 5 and 5, it looks like that. The 7 and 7 looks like that. I do not recommend to go, because people do this, like that. Did you see how jumpy that was? See my hand turn? Whereas if you keep the best finger in the middle, it's a smooth line. So that's one technical consideration I want to share. And then in terms of how to conceptualize them in such a way that you can apply knowledge that you learn, there's 2 ways. The first way is to always associate them forevermore with this classic bar chord shape that basically you can almost always, it's just a thing you can do to this shape, is to do this. doesn't matter where you put it. That's going to be more useful in making up guitar parts for songs because you're not wandering around too much, getting far away from where the chords are for a song. So that's the way I recommend more. The other thing, though, that Mike Bloomfield is doing on this, I really hope it is Mike Bloomfield. I think it is, right? Okay. I could be wrong. If you know better than I, you're probably right. I spent some time on Wikipedia looking this stuff up to double check. You never know. Is though seeing the scale on two strings at once and harmonizing the whole thing that way. That's a G scale. And you're like, okay, wait a second then. That means, is it an over here too? So that means you can horizontally, in a linear way, go like... That's very pretty as like an improvisational melodic device. The only drawback with that is that you could get lost. You could get lost in the chord changes of a song, kind of. What chord am I on? I don't know. So that can be a problem. But again, that problem gets remedied by practice and trying things out. So both ways work. My tendency is always to play less notes and keep them closer to chords, but that's my 2 cents. That's my whole ethos about things. It sure is. I won't lie, though. It is a very pretty thing to move around. There we have it for today. Thanks so much to everybody who supports me in all the ways that you do with the likes and the subscribing and the sharing. That all helps with the algorithm, which then helps generate website traffic. On my website, you can book one-on-one lesson time with me to talk about guitar or musical life goals. There's also Patreon, and for as little as $2 a month, you can participate over there, and there's a lot of educational things that I put there as well. Or if you want big, comprehensive, deep dive courses all in one, I make stuff in partnership with Truefire.com. Again, everything is on my website. Everything is linked that way. That's how I keep the lights on here. As Bill and Ted would say, be excellent to each other. That includes yourself. Happy Friday. Eat pizza.